Yeah, what better way to spend a Saturday afternoon than watching some preseason football, right? Yeah, NFL action. It's ass-tastic. Ugh. Probably not the best way to spend your Saturday if you're a Bears fan. That's for sure. Yeah, that was a tough, ugly watch. I mean, you try not to focus on the wins and loss part or what the score was or anything like that. And you know, it is preseason. And part of the deal with preseason is you don't throw everything out there. Not everybody necessarily plays, or they play in a limited fashion. You know, like, that's the way it goes sometimes. You're trying different things. You're experimenting with different things. Then the ultimate name of the game is not to win these games. It doesn't matter as much. So that is true. You know, it is certainly important. As certainly some Bears fan is going to sit there and pick in the comments, well, you know, the 85 Bears were 1-3 on the preseason. Yuck, yuck, and they went on to win to the Super Bowl. So what the hell do you know about the preseason? But yeah, there was a brutal watch today. The Mitchell Trubisky revenge game. Yikes. Now we need to make this very clear for the Bears fans that are going to instantly want to jump all over this and say, da-da-da. Trubisky is still terrible. He was not a guy that was ever going to be the guy. He never was the guy. You needs to let it go and move the F on. If anything, what you saw out of Trubisky was a guy that was really ramped up, put in a favorable situation by the system he's playing in, and he went up against this Desai defense, which apparently must be in mid-season form already. As I tell you, my God, they made Mitchell Trubisky look great, which is really easy to do when you show no ability or desire whatsoever to cover any of the Bills' receivers. Was that a lack of ability or a lack of desire? It sure fucking felt like both. And what should be really reassuring for Bears fans that are clutching to this notion of this elite Bears defense and this team can still do things. And this is Bears football. Like, Bears football shouldn't even be a thing. What the hell is Bears football? I don't want to watch Bears football. I want to watch winning football. Is that they backed up that lack of ability and desire to cover any damn buddy by courageously deciding they weren't going to fucking tackle anybody either. That was a horrendous performance by this defense in the first half. Bad execution, bad effort, bad everything. And some of you might be talking about Trubisky, but I'm talking more about Brian Daboll and saying, you know, this sure felt like he was auditioning to be the next Bears head coach. Because look at how he, you know, customized the system around, and the game plan around Trubisky and what Trubisky could do. And, you know, the antithesis basically of anything that Matt Nagy would ever do. Like, you saw a pretty good play caller on display Saturday afternoon at Soldier Field, and it sure as hell wasn't the Chicago Bears head coach, Matt Nagy. But more on that fuckstick in a couple of minutes. But as far as the whole Trubisky thing, it's preseason. It doesn't matter. He still stinks. Get over it, accept it, and move the hell on. Which is what we want the Bears, and specifically General Manager Ryan Pace and head coach Matt Nagy, to do with this frickin' obsession, this stubbornly stupid, pathetically predictable pattern of behavior of idiocracy of wanting to sit there and be behind Andy Dalton as their QB1. I know I'm not the only Bears fan by any stretch of the imagination that felt that this first half was largely a waste of fucking time and a missed opportunity. Those first couple of drives in particular, you just kept saying to yourself, and I know I certainly did, well shit, Justin Fields could do that. Justin Fields could do that. What the fuck is the big deal here? Like, even Andy Dalton's mustache and goatee looks fucking stupid. And his play is stupid too. And some of you are even going to point to the touchdown throw. You say, well, at least he had that great play. It was an average throw. Rodney Adams, who should make this 53-man roster, made a great play on an average throw. Let's be clear. Justin Fields could have at least done that and probably would have been more likely to hit the receiver and stride downfield. Like, this offense put up 6 points in the first half. It was fucking pathetic. And it didn't get any better. You know, you can sit there and blame the receiver for slipping on the interception that Dalton threw, but the reality is the defensive back was still able to get there, which means that it still wasn't going to be a great throw, which means even if the receiver hadn't slipped, it still could have potentially been an interception. God damn it, Adam Amin and Jim Miller, stop trying to toe the company line and stop making pathetic ass fucking excuses for this stupid insistence on Andy Dalton. We're already over it already, and the season hasn't even begun. At least in the second half, we got to see Justin Fields. It's so frustrating that he got 0 run with the ones. Because we all fucking know, no matter what, Dalton's not starting all 17 games this year. He's just not. So now you're going to be bringing in Justin Fields with no previous live game action with the starters. That's less than ideal because it's stupid. Typical numbskull Nagy type of behavior. It's frustrating that he was only in the second half. So you had to wait an hour and a half of the Dalton bullshit before you get to the part that you actually give a crap about when you're starting to think about what the future could look like for this organization. And what's really frustrating to me as you watch Justin Fields, it is so clear and it's so obvious. Andy Dalton can't do anything special. Andy Dalton can't do anything that Justin Fields himself can't do. We all know this. But what we can also say with confidence is Justin Fields can absolutely do multiple things that Andy Dalton can't. This is not up for debate or discussion. We know that is an unequivocal fact. Fields' athleticism adds a unique element to this offense. It's an element they're going to need, especially if this offensive line continues to look shaky and shoddy. You're going to need a guy that can extend plays, be able to pick up yards with his feet, be able to improvise. You're going to need that. And in general, you need that in today's NFL. Dalton can't but only do that so much, and certainly cannot do it to nearly the level or degree of athleticism that a Justin Fields can. Now, he's going to need to work on his footwork, a couple of throws off his back foot. You're going to need to clean that up, and still needs to process what he can see quicker. This is a concern I had coming out of Ohio State with him. It's still a concern that's there. Now, the good thing about it when you get in the NFL is, sometimes even if you take too long to process, you can extend plays with your feet and you can hide some of that. But at some point in time, that's going to become a problem that will manifest. But I'm okay with that in the sense of it's not a reason to refuse starting Justin Fields week 1. He's going to have to play his way through that and either develop the skills to be better in that space or not. But you could see the life in this offense, and you could see the big play ability that Andy Dalton doesn't possess that Justin Fields does. Just frustrating that was wasted in the second half playing with the 3s and 4s. And then after the game, let's get to numbskull Nagy his fucking self. We need to see Andy Dalton in the regular season. Ding dong, dumb dick! He's been in the league a frickin' decade already! If Andy Dalton was so goddamn good, you wouldn't have been able to sign him for 1 year for $10 million like the idiots you are that you did. And if you don't know by now what the hell the Red Rocket is, then you're an idiot. You have a decade of film. Oh, you need to see him in the regular season for what? For what? That's stupid. Why can't you see with your own eyes that Justin Fields is clearly the better talent? Why do you refuse to acknowledge the fact that your philosophy and approach is wrong, invalid, and going to cost your organization both this year and in the future? It is clearly obvious that your best chance to win games in 2021 is with Justin Fields as your starting quarterback. This whole thing of, you got to plan, you got to plan. It's like in fighting. Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face. It's great to have a plan. That's nice, a vision. But at the end of the day, sometimes you have to adjust. The facts change. The realities change. Or your whole plan was stupid to begin with. And then you sit there and don't give Justin Fields any reps with the damn ones. So that way you put him out there in the second half where he's playing with the second stringers, and in a lot of cases the third and the fourth stringers. Some of these dudes who are never going to play in the NFL certainly aren't going to make the 53-man roster. Why in the hell, in the bluest of blue fucks, would you be risking the potential future of the franchise playing behind third and fourth stringers, playing with third and fourth stringers, where you can get his shit rocked or potentially even worse, get seriously injured? It happened. I mean, that hit was nasty coming off the edge. Kind of man stuff that Justin Fields was able to shake it off right away. But a little later on, like, he was limping around at one point. Like, why would you... if you were insisting on Andy Dalton, then play in the first quarter. Then put Justin Fields in the second quarter. So you give him some reps with the ones. Then you play him in the third quarter. And then you sit him in the fourth. The fact that Justin Fields played the entire second half, and you're risking this young man and his health and your future because you want to be a dumb dick about giving Dalton these goddamn reps. Like, this reminds me of Vince McMahon level John Cena propaganda bullshit. Like having to go above and beyond outside of your way to try and pound this idea and concept down everybody's throats because you still want to fucking believe in it. That Dalton is some great option or the best option that you have. Just like WWE did for goddamn years with Cena, trying to put that prop out there like he was some type of Rock Austin Hogan level megastar, which he absolutely wasn't and he's never going to fucking be. But everything they did, they tried to position him to be presented as such. The propaganda that they put in place. The editing out of the boos when Cena would appear, put in cheers and all the fake pumped in crowd noise and all that other bullshit. That's what this shit reminds me of. And if you have to go to those lengths to protect somebody, then maybe they're not the dude! You're lucky Justin Fields didn't get seriously hurt today, you dumbass! Lucky, damn lucky. And then, knowing that you've got the guy you're looking to be the face of the franchise of the future, and potentially the guy that could potentially end up saving your sorry ass's job, why wouldn't you run more max protect? Or at least schemes that would keep at least 6 people in to protect this goddamn kid? You have multiple times that you didn't have anybody blocking a blitzer coming off of the right side. That's fucking nuts! Who does that? A numbskull, that's who! But even beyond all that, I couldn't imagine being a Bears player right now, like a Khalil Mack, and Akeem Hicks, and Eddie Jackson, and Allen Robinson. Now, some of those notable high-level players, Roquan Smith. I couldn't imagine having to look them in the face and trying to seriously sell them on the concept and the idea that this is Andy Dalton's time to shine. That Andy Dalton should be the starting quarterback. That Andy Dalton should be the starter in week 1. Well, you don't want to put Fields out there against fucking Los Angeles. Well, you're going to need a quarterback that's going to be able to move, and that's not Dalton. And you can't sit there and presume automatically the offensive line will ever be great. Was that going to be the excuse 2 years from now? You're still not playing Fields because, well, you're worried about the offensive line? No, fuck it. You got to find out about this kid. You got to find out now. And you're certainly going to run the risk, like a numbskull, of losing this damn locker room because the players know at the end of the day. They know the reality. They know the truth. They knew they liked Mitchell Trubisky, but they knew he wasn't that dude. They knew he wasn't a championship quarterback. And I best damn guarantee they know damn good and well that Andy Dalton ain't that frickin' dude. They don't know about Justin Fields yet because he's so young in his career. But what they do know is he's got the most athletic upside. He's got the better arm talent. He's got the much better athleticism and mobility, improvisation ability. They know, they damn sure as well know that Justin Fields gives the Bears the best chance to be a good team this year, not Andy Dalton. Why would you want to lie to your team? Lie to your locker room? That's how you lose a fucking locker room. Like, to me, this preseason game today was an indictment on Matt Nagy and his approach. You basically skipped a level to promote a defensive coordinator, and your defense so far looks like a freaking mess. You're stubbornly starting the Red Rocket, and he stinks, and we all freaking know it. And when you see him in the regular season, you got 10 years to go off of. How much more time do you goddamn need to see what he can do or not do? You put Justin Fields in with a bunch of guys that aren't going to play in the NFL and put the potential future of the franchise at risk because you wanted to prove a point, and the only point you proved is that you're a dumbass! This is a foreshadowing of things to come. Buckle up, Bears fans. Because the mediocrity of the McCaskey way is nothing compared to the train wreck that this 2021 season can be for the Chicago Bears. This is a nightmare today. Hope to God it's not going to be a nightmare like this all season. Give me a break.